I was lying on a lilo in a swimming pool when I noticed a weird humanoid-like being up the far end of the pool. It was about 3 or 4 feet tall and dressed in a strange clown-like suit, somewhat multicoloured. Its face was rather obscure, and on its head was a kind of helmet, culminating in a spire-like length of pole, white in colour and about 18 inches tall, and an inch or so in diameter, with a rounded off top, rather like the end of a broom. The creature stepped down into the water and started walking towards me, gradually submerging until only the spire was visible. It seemed rather menacing. When it reached the side of the lilo, I tried to grab hold of the spire, but for some reason couldn't grasp the thing. It then disappeared under the lilo. The water was completely opaque, so I could not see anything under the surface. I got the impression of it doing something to the underneath of the lilo, perhaps trying to deflate it. Then I woke up. So I've got a few thoughts about this. Right, I want to discuss this with Kevin. Kevin found this a very interesting dream, as it reminded him of similar creatures he came across in 2 separate dreams some time back, the first some 2 years ago. At the time, he likened them to Stephen King's It clown figure Pennywise. In one of those dreams, I was apparently present, and Kevin was demonstrating to me ways of defence against such creatures, including making balls of fire to hurl at them. He thought my dream could be a view of what he had experienced only from my viewpoint, and that the action was taking place about the same time of course being of no relevance on the real side. He felt further that the real guides had ended the dream before things got nasty, which I might not have been able to handle at my stage of awareness. This does rather leave the possibility that there will be an action replay when the guides feel I am ready for it. Kevin advises me that I have figured in a number of his real side adventures of late, and that we tend often to be in conflict with dark force type beings. Interestingly also, a few weeks ago on the real side, it was revealed to him that in at least one earlier physical life we had been comrades at arms. The creature was evidently one from the lower astral level, and may have symbolised their periodic psychic attacks on me on the physical side. Certainly the dream occurred around the time of 3 near disastrous so-called accidents I experienced on successive weeks, but as always the real guides were on hand to save me, so I'm still here and tell the tale. The first such event concerned another fall. I recounted some time ago an earlier violent attack, for that is what I honestly believe it was. This time I was walking down a pathway towards the back door of a client I was visiting. It had been raining, so arguably it was a bit slippery. Suddenly and extremely violently, my feet were whisked away from under me, and I slammed down with some considerable force onto my back. Luckily I did not bang my head, thank you guides, but my elbows took a lot of the brunt of it. They still hurt as I write these notes several weeks on, though only the left one's skin was broken, as I found out when I later got to the office and taking off my jacket discovered my blood-stained shirt sleeve. The second event occurred when driving back from another such out call, doing 70 on the M1 motorway in the outside overtaking lane. I was suddenly aware of the smell of burning rubber and strange noises coming from the right hand front, that is the driver's wheel. Realising a tyre problem, I carefully started to ease back on the gas pedal. At 60 the tyre exploded in almost theatrical manner. Luckily the traffic in the other inner lanes was fairly light and well spaced, as I banged on the hazard lights and carefully manoeuvred the car over to the safety of the luckily unoccupied entrance to an incoming junction on the left. It could have been, of course, fatal, but the guides and a wonderful old Volvo wagon saved the day and me between them. Finally, and perhaps most spectacularly, the other event took place in our downstairs front room. Kevin, Gwen and I were seated at various points around the room watching TV. It was still light when we were suddenly treated to a short, sharp thunderstorm. Suddenly there was a terrific clap of thunder, evidently directly overhead, and I saw a laser beam-like bolt of lightning come through one of the closed windows to my left at about 45 degrees and end in a dazzling flash. It all happened in a split second, and the flash was about a yard above the floor and 5 or 6 feet in from the window. It was almost a foot across. Everything then went quietly back to normal and the storm was over. Kevin went out of the room and I rather bemusedly said something to the effect of, "See that?" to Gwen. Weirdly, neither she nor Kevin, as I later ascertained, had experienced anything. It had been so vivid and dramatic. Surely it was not only in my mind. In terms of attack on this occasion, it could have been aimed at any one of us. It was basically in the only quadrant of the room where none of us were. If it had hit one of us, I'm sure we would have been burned to a crisp. As a rather fascinating follow-up to this, only a few days ago, there was a programme on TV about freak weather. I was nearly blown away when they got onto the topic of ball lightning, which they admitted nobody had any idea what it really is. Describing various accounts, one typical type apparently occurs when, apparently being attracted to glass, a streak of lightning will go straight through a closed window without damaging it, and then end in a sudden flash inside the building concerned. For some reason, this is categorised as ball lightning, though no ball or any other obvious shape is seen, and they haven't a clue what causes it. That's about it on that one. Over to you, Dwayne, please.
Yes, hello, Peter. That's fun. So those last 3 experiences there, those were in the physical for you. Is that it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first one where you slipped, take a look at that. There's the old saying, no pain, no gain, but also you landed on your back, which, things can happen, in other words, sometimes. So you can take that either way, that it's where you're grounded also. And so sometimes, I've gone through many experiences too, where it's right up front, where I get a knock on the head or whatever, and your elbows were a little bit hurt, your back was a little bit bloody. Again, no pain, no gain. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to go through this, but there's also a saying, isn't there? I don't know if you have it in Europe there, no elbows on the table. Okay. So lots of times there are those old sayings that go along with these things. But again, as we go through this is like boot camp. It's a real boot camp, very, very real in creation. And because the real you wants to pay attention, lots of times the personal self doesn't. So there's different ways to get your attention. All of a sudden, you kids also get a lightning bolt in your house. Well, that's cool. Lightning bolts are cool. The light that doesn't burn, etc. And again, science and the knuckleheads, they don't know what it is because they don't know what the true reality life is either, do they? So little expression there and there, more from that. So those are just some views. Those are wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you're okay. And you can get up and do whatever now. Okay, Kevin, thank you. Thank you, Peter. Thank you.